To start with then, the captaincy, it's back to the tried and tested in Mark Wallace.
Absolutely, yeah. Mark Wallace, captain here for a number of years, has been understudy with Jack all season and has worked with Jack, and it's the obvious choice really.
So that's the captaincy vacancy filled. What about the batting vacancy? What's the plans for this game?
Well, we're going to bring in a couple of younger players. Jeremy Lawler is going to get his first bite in first team cricket, scored some runs at the back end of the season. James Kettleborough, who played early part of the season, will have another run now, played a couple of one-dayers recently. So, a couple of new faces or a face coming back in.
How much of a gamble is that, having two new openers at the same time then?
Well, it's not a gamble. I mean, I think it's the club saying we back you as young players, we believe you're quality players, and go out and show us and everyone else what you can do. So no, we're looking forward to that. I'm sure they are.
And Nyron Donald back off England under-19s as well?
Yes, delighted to have Nyron back. He's been away with England captaining that one-day side, so I imagine he'll slip back into the middle order with us.
After Lancashire and Surrey sealed promotion in the last couple of weeks, what's to play for now?
Well, I think we said at the outset of this season that if we could be in the top four, we'd see that as a real improvement. For a long part of this summer, we were fighting for promotion, as everyone knows. We were sort of unbeaten for 2 months. We equalled the record of 4 wins in a row, nearly did the 5. But I think now it's about trying to stay in that top 3 or 4. So for us, still a lot to play for in these last 3 championship matches.
What about Kent as opponents down towards the bottom, despite a couple of standout individuals like North East and Coles on the stats?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're a very good side, even though they haven't had a great season in the Championship. I see Rob Key was back to form last week with 100. They've got some big name players. Sam North East has scored runs pretty much in all formats this year, and they've been very good in the one-day competitions. Don't take any county side lightly. They've all got big players, and they all on their day can help them win matches. So it's about us, giving our best and trying to get a result for Glamorgan.
And it was an interesting game down there earlier in the season at Canterbury.
It was. I mean, it was a big fight on that last day to salvage a draw, and I remember Dave Lloyd holding out against Coles, who was bashing the ball into halfway into the wicket and around his ears, but we stood firm, and that was actually, I think, following that game was when we got on that run of 4 wins. So it was a bit of a turning point in our season, that game.
Is it difficult to motivate players at all at this stage of the season now?
No, it's not at all. I think, firstly, there's personal pride. There's, as I said, we want to be in the top 3 or 4 at the end of the season, because that was one of the goals that we set. So, I keep reminding them, and they're reminding themselves that that's what he's here to play for. So, as much as we'd want promotion, and it isn't going to happen this year, we're also on a path of development for the club, and we want to keep moving forward. And also individual players, they'll want to get extensions on contracts, keep contracts. So, everyone's got something to play for.
And in terms of the Championship, there's been a lot of talk about possibly reducing the number of matches for next season. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's certainly been a very, very congested summer. I think one of the biggest troubles or problems has been sort of mixing the T20 and the Championship cricket. So, for young players especially, trying to play one format, say of 2020 on a Friday night, and then change to a 4-day style of play the next day is very, very difficult. So that's been tough. A lot of Championship cricket sort of at the start and the end of the season, but it's still a quality game, and it's Test cricket and county cricket are the ultimate tests of a cricketer, in my opinion. Tactically, technically, physically, that's where you've really got to be up for it, and the best players can play the longer formats. Yeah,
it seems likely maybe that you wouldn't play all the counties in your division twice, which is a slightly strange situation, maybe.
Yeah, it would be odd, but that's happened a little bit in T20 in the last couple of years, where I think we played Middlesex once last year and similar this year. So that can affect you a little bit. Depends who you get, and it would be odd going into a competition. We don't play everyone the same number of times, but if that helps players by not sort of overburdening them and playing too much cricket, then I think that's a good move forward.
And we've talked about the batsmen getting a go in this particular game. How about the bowlers? Because you've got back-to-back games, virtually just one day between the 2 Championship games against Kent and Northants. Do you rotate the bowlers, bring some youngsters in there, or?
Well, I think at the moment, we've had a bit of a quiet week, 10 days. The guys had a bit of a break, and we've come back to a good few days of training now. So our main seam attack, Hogan, Macheda, Wag, they'll all be fit and raring to go and play. David Lloyd as well. We've had a couple of injuries after the last game. Kieran Bull has got a slight fracture to his back, which is a worry for a young off spinner. and Rory Smith has got a bit of a problem with a foot, so he's walking around in a special boot at the moment. So as everyone knows, we've had a small squad all season, and we've managed to stay fit pretty much all season. So to have these couple of injuries at the end makes it a little bit tough for the last few games. But I do know these boys are firing for these last 3 matches and have made the most of a good break over the last week, 10 days.
What are the implications of that injury for Kieran Bull then?
Oh, I think it'll take a couple of months to get that sorted and rest, and it's something that obviously our medical staff will look at properly and just assess how it's happened and how he goes forward, because he's obviously a high quality young spinner. It's very rare to get any type of fracture with a spin bowling action, so we're just trying to get the bottom of how it may have happened and get him fit, because as I say, he's a real player for the future for us.
And with Rory Smith, is that him out for the rest of the season now then? Or?
I'd be surprised if either of those two play again this season. But Rory's isn't a stress fracture. He had a stress fracture last year in his foot. This is in a slightly different part of the foot, and I think we've got it early. So it's more a case of rest him a little bit for the next few weeks and just take it easy getting ready for next season. But I'd be amazed if either of those two played at the end of the season.
Finally, a word on Craig Meshter. Any progress in the talks with Somerset over the possibility of having him back? Or?
No, still waiting to sort all that out. He's been a big part of our side and played a huge role, I think, in those wins that we had in the middle of the season. Had his couple of hundreds, took good wickets, especially here at Cardiff. So, we obviously hope he's with us next year, and hope those progress positively for Glamorgan.